Today at Manchester Theatres, I am pleased to be joined with Rebecca Bernice Amissah, who is a singer, a songwriter, an actress, an author, music consultant, entrepreneur, choir leader, and the founder of the award-winning Gospel Essence Choir, who, among many things you may have seen on BBC's Naked Choir with Gareth Malone. Now, Rebecca has recently been in the brand new musical A Strange Loop in the West End, and we are thrilled that because she is also coming in another new musical that has been getting rave reviews everywhere it goes, and it is almost our turn. I am, of course, talking of the Good Enough Mums Club, which is coming to the Lowry from the 30th of November to the 2nd of December. So thank you so much for joining us today, Rebecca, in what we know is the middle of your tour, so we do appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for such a wonderful welcome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So the Good Enough Mums Club, it's a story of these 5 mums who are kind of thrown together through the fact that they're all mums, and they kind of go on a little bit of a crusade, don't they? So can you tell us about the story?
Yeah, so the Good Enough Mums Club is really about 5 women who, because they've all become mothers at the same time, they've kind of been thrust together. So these women are not likely to have come into contact with each other than all becoming mums. So just the kind of natural relationship that kind of happens when you find yourself in that scenario, and their kind of love for one another, the way that, mothers come together and support each other when, like, oh, you need a baby wipe or you need this, every mum's easy to, pulling stuff out their bag, wanting to support and help a mother regardless of how well they know each other. But these women do become like a great support to one another. And once their play centre comes under threat, they realise the power they have as a group and kind of collective, and how that they can save and stop that from happening.
It sounds so clever. And you're playing a character called Michelle. So what is her experience of motherhood? What is her story?
So Michelle, before she had children, she was a successful businesswoman. She ran a huge company and ran, I think this is 26 people that she used to kind of manage. And her storyline sort of develops that it's quite difficult for her to go back to work because she becomes a mother of twin boys. So, we touch on the real struggle for a lot of women when you have can I afford to go back to work? And so then she's trying to navigate what life now looks like as a mother who now, adores her children, but she's, maybe she didn't realize she was going to have twins. Most people don't. So then the reality of it being twice as expensive for her to go back to work, even though she had come from such a successful background. Also, there's a little bit touched upon the specific struggles that you have as a Black mother, looking after, bringing up Black boys in the society the way that it can be for that sector of society. So we touch upon that as well.
There's a lot.
And she's also the kind of the glue of the group. So she's the one most likely to be friends with each of these women individually outside of the playgroup. So she kind of has a little moment with each of the women in the story.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds interesting. Like lots of different possibilities going off. And what is really exciting about this whole thing is that almost kind of feels like how it started. So from what I understand, the writer Emily basically started this because as she was a new mum, she started the Good Enough Mums Club because she went through her own struggles and kind of halted and said, hang on a minute, I don't have to be perfect here. I'm good enough as I am. And that kind of expanded. So is that right? Is that how this whole thing kind of started?
Yeah, so Emily's been quite open about her experience with postpartum psychosis. So she had an episode, and so we kind of loosely sort of depict what she went through. And I think on the other side of the recovery, she realized when she was being more vocal and sharing her experience, other women were coming up and sharing different things that they were coming up with, they were struggling. And I think that kind of realization for her that there's lots of women who are pretending to be perfect. And it's like, we only need to be good enough for our children. We only need to be good enough for each other. We need to be good enough for ourselves. So the idea of the Good Enough Mum Club is to just give mothers and, you know, caregivers the kind of opportunity to be like, we're doing the best that we can, and that is enough. So yeah.
Absolutely. What a positive, brilliant message as well. And I'm guessing that because this show has been put together by everybody involved is a mum. So, you know, the performers, the writer, the stage manager, the choreographer, everybody is a mum. So has their own story to tell. Does that help give it an authenticity, because you all have some form of understanding of something within the show as to what's going on because you've lived it?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps. Like it's such a wonderful experience to turn up to work, and the effort it's taken to get to work. You'd be like, oh, this one, you know, is teething, or you're still breastfeeding, or whatever it is that you've had to go through just to get to work. To realize that we're all in the same boat. We've all had our own journey to get to do the work. And then within the room we have, you know, we've got children in the room. When we've been rehearsing, Lucy brings her little boy Rory, who we've all fallen in love with, the stage manager. She's you know, so we've got children in the room with us. We haven't kind of shied away from the fact that we are mothers and we are doing all of these creative pursuits. Like our choreographer gave birth, I think, last week. So wow. She was heavily pregnant and like choreographing, and yeah, you know, the times where like there might be an inset day, so that some other people are bringing their children in. So it's kind of on top of what we're doing, as opposed to in other settings where you might have all those anxieties, but you're not able to really kind of express them. Everyone understands what we're going through, and then on top of it, when, you know, we also know what it would have taken for the audience to get there, like if they've taken the night off to come and enjoy the show, they know that we understand them, they understand what we're going through, and some of the things that will happen within the story, there's a nod for them to be like, yep, I understand that, I get it. And so that authenticity is mirrored before, in front and behind stage.
Yeah, it's creating that sense of belonging, isn't it? Right from the off, where, you know, we see you. It's basically saying we see you, isn't it? And I think that's beautiful. And is this is it predominantly, because it's the Good Enough Mums Club, is it predominantly mums that are coming along? Do we get partners? Do we get dads? Do we get different people? Because obviously they have their experiences as well, that they go through, but also that they see their partners go through as well. So is there a mix, or is it predominantly sort of the mums that are coming?
I think it's you know, fair to say that it's predominantly a mum crowd that turn up, but there's definitely been some men in. My partner himself came to watch the show and he said, I'm part of the Good Enough Dads Club. So there are definitely you know, everyone has had an experience of mothering or being there. I think it's really important for, like, anyone can sort of maybe pick some things up that they've either seen their friends go through if they're not mothers themselves, or things they might recognize or understand of their own mothers. Or there was one theatre person who came after the show and said she really wants her daughter to see what she went through, so she would have loved for her daughter to come and see it. So there's lots of different things take away from it. I think it's, although it's for mothers to see themselves, it's also so much more than that, so that other people can just appreciate that story and like take something personal from it.
So with the story, obviously we've got elements that are humorous, because, you know, part of being a mum can be funny, you know, there's leaky boobs and there's things, and you're just like, oh, there's all the observational stuff. But then there's the more serious side as well, like we've already mentioned about postnatal depression and psychosis and these different elements. So is that an easy balance to find as a performer? Because obviously these are real stories and you want to be respectful, but at the same time you're wanting to entertain as well.
I think for us as the actors, I think it's important for us to hold the stories and to tell them from a place of authenticity. And as Emily has been collecting stories for about a decade. So I know she's very passionate about making sure that these stories come across and are kind of delivered from what she's learned to the audience. And I think it's just the nuances of acting that you find the light and the shade, because for an audience, you can't just receive all the heavy stuff or just have all the light. So it's just finding those nuances that I think in a typical day of mothering, you will have the real kind of moment of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? To suddenly your child doing something that is absolutely hysterical. So I think it's just weaving that reality of, you can have those moments where you're just thinking, oh my gosh, this child pushed me right to the edge, and now I'm hysterically laughing because they've tried to drink a straw but pulled the straw out of the glass, or something really sort of, their innocence suddenly just breaks the tension. So I think I think it's just that kind of ability to do that. And I'm so lucky to be sharing the stage with such talented women, including our two swings who are not touring with us, but they were in the rehearsal process with us quite extensively. So I think I feel very safe in the hands of the women I'm working with to know that we can tell these stories correctly.
It sounds just divine and so spot on with, like you say, people's experiences. And what I also love about what you're doing is that you're doing specific shows where you're recognising, do you know what? We're doing a show about mums, for mums, but we also recognise that, like you've said, to even get to the theatre might just be an impossibility. So we're going to do a show where you can bring your children, bring them along, bring your babies, bring your little ones. And if you need to leave mid-show for a break, or they're having a cry or whatever, do that, come back. Can you tell us a little bit more about those performances?
So those performances have been really lovely, because the lights come on just a little bit more, just to make the audience feel comfortable. You can sometimes hear little babbling. Some of the slightly older children will like respond to like rhetorical questions, which then we have to not like corpse on stage when they're just like responding, or bye when they see us walking off the stage. So there's been lots of little really gorgeous moments like that. But also I think what's really nice is at the beginning of the performance, or just before it starts, there's that kind of reassurance that we understand this is what it is. If you need to get up. If you need to kind of rock your baby. If you're breastfeed, do what you need to do, enjoy the show, as well as do your job as mothering your child, however that looks for you. Come in, come out, feel free, but don't have that panic that I think we're all, like a lot of mothers and caregivers have been in a situation where if your child's screaming on the bus or doing something, you're just like, oh my gosh, swallow me now, or trying desperately to silence this child that is fighting you. So I think it's really lovely to have created that space for women to feel like, or parents I should say, to just come enjoy the theatre and be unapologetic about what your child is doing in that moment.
Yeah, and it's showing that, do you know what? Yes, you're a parent, but you're still a human. You still have a life. You're still allowed to enjoy life. You can do both. You can do both.
It's making it accessible. So for like, especially having it in the midday, like, not if you've got a small child, you're not going out in the evening. No. So you can, it's the fact that you can go out in the afternoon and work it around nap times or whatever you need to do, and still kind of be part of something social, which especially in early motherhood, it's quite difficult to do a lot of that social without your child. So creating a space for that, I think, is really important.
Yeah, I agree. And it's such a simple idea, but it's so brilliant at the same time. Do we've been talking about this show and we've not even mentioned the fact that it's a musical yet. So I think, seeing as with your musical background, you are the perfect person to kind of talk us through the songs. What kind of style have we got? What can we expect with the songs? Do you have a favourite?
Well, I'm a bit biased to say I do have a favourite, because I was actually really lucky to be able to contribute and to write the song that I sing for Michelle's character. I think as a team, we felt it would be really important to kind of give it a bit more of that authentic lived experience. So the song Burn Bright, I contributed quite a lot of the lyrics to. And it's got quite a powerful message, I think, for audiences to kind of realize that there's, on top of all the everyday struggles for mothers, there's still some mothers who have other things to consider on top of. In my case, in Michelle's case also, it's race. In, you know, there may be other things if you're dealing with a child with special needs, or if you're dealing with a child that you know, it has other medical needs, that it's, you still worry about all the things such as teething and growth and, you know, their development, but you also have that on top of it. And I think if you have a neurotypical child, or have any other kind of sort of more normal situations, you don't necessarily understand that there's an extra layer on top of that. So that I'm very proud of that song, Burn Bright. Then there's the first opening song, 9 months, which is very kind of pastiche and makes you feel like you're walking into some sort of cell block kind of situation, which kind of sets the scene. Yeah. But then it's very, very different to the rest of the musical. So I think there's going to be lots of things that you'll recognize. You'll be like, oh, that sounds like, well, what's that? Because even in rehearsals, people were just like, this really sounds like this, and this really sounds like, there's lots of nods. I think Verity Quaid is a very, very clever woman who has done a lot of the music. So she has you know, blessed us with her talent, and will take you on a musical journey. There's lots of beautiful ballads that really allow the individual characters to showcase their stories, as well as a lot of fun. And like, there's a good sing-along moment as well with the audience, where we've just kind of made fun of a very, very, I won't give it away, known song that we've probably sung with our own children, or like, you know, children and family. It's not that one. That one. But it's one that everyone will know the words to. And you know, so there's lots of fun, and it's very the music is beautiful, I'd say.
The whole package of the show, it sounds really, really entertaining, clever. It just feels like the perfect thing that we need. It sounds brilliant, and I'm thrilled that you're a part of it, and I'm thrilled that you've been able to chat with us today. So thank you so much, Rebecca. It's been a pleasure. It really has. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of round up by saying it's not just what we see on stage, it's also how we've been supported backstage, and the fact that there's been allowances to bring our children on tour if we need to, and you know, there's allowances for like childcare and things like that. So it's just kind of realizing that being a mother isn't a barrier to working in the creative industry. And I think this model, as we were all so excited to be involved in it, because it's like, okay, I can do this and still do my main job of mothering. It's not either or. And I think this model is something that could be replicated across the industry, to allow people to just not have to give up on their dreams, as well as, you know, bring up the next generation.
Absolutely. That is a perfect way to finish. Yeah, replicate it, do it, and make it accessible to everybody, like you say. Thank you so much, and all the best. As we've said, the Good Enough Mums Club is going to be at the Lowry from the 30th of November. So come along and catch it.
We are the Good Enough Mums Club, where your best is always good enough. Now you're in the Good Enough Mums Club.